Even though the original brought joy and comfort to many households, the surviving members of the cast believed deeply in the family affair curse, which resulted in great misfortune and even death. In this video, you will see how have the actors of the movie Family Affair changed. You will know their real names and age. I will show you how they looked then, in 1966, and what's with them now, in 2025. Okay, let's go. Brian Keith as Bill Davis. November 14, 1921. Brian Keith was an American actor known for his roles in various films and television shows. He was the main actor in the film portraying the role of a successful and wealthy bachelor called Bill Davis. Living in New York City, Keith played this role passionately and was tasked to be a guardian of his deceased brother's 3 children, Sissy, Buffy, and Jody. Brian Keith was born to actor parents, his father being Robert Keith, who co-starred with Sinatra and Brando in 1955's Guys and Dolls. A 3-year-old Brian even joined Dad for 2 films, such as Pied Piper Malone in 1924. The Parent Trap in 1961 is probably his best-known work. But he'd become even more of a household name with his 3-time Emmy-nominated role in Family Affair. In 1972 he starred in The Brian Keith Show. Brian really never slowed down, not on the big screen or the small. The 1975 saga The Wind and the Lion, starring Sean Connery, and in which he played President Roosevelt, was his biggest production to date. His final credits were posthumous, the very last one coming in 1999 with a film called Follow Your Heart. Brian died in 1997 at age 75, tragically of a self-inflicted gunshot wound after he had been battling emphysema and lung cancer. It was reported he was suffering from depression and financial problems. He died 2 months after his daughter, Daisy, also committed suicide. Brian was married 3 times and has 7 children. Sebastian Kbad as Giles French. Born the 6th of July 1918. Giles French was Bill Davis's butler and a second father figure for the kids. Kbad was brilliant as this gentleman's gentleman, who always appears so very proper and gruff, but was also really and sincerely charmed by these 3 kiddos. As a job, Kbad enjoyed acting in this series, as that happiness helped make Family Affair so wholesome and family-friendly. Sebastian Kbad began acting professionally in 1935. He became known for playing the Wazir in the 1955 film Kismet and as Dr. Carl Hyatt in the TV series Checkmate in the early 60s. Sebastian was also a known voice actor, specifically in a number of Disney animated films. His Winnie the Pooh work was his last, specifically in The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh in 1977. Sebastian died that same year at age 59 after suffering a stroke. Anissa Jones as Buffy. Born March 11, 1958. Buffy is your classic little girl who loved her prized toys and became very upset when she lost them, especially her prized possession, her Mrs. Beasley doll. Anissa Jones played the role of Buffy and it was her very first role in Hollywood. She also played the role of Carol Bix in the Elvis Presley comedy The Trouble with Girls in 1969. But these roles, and one final appearance on Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In 71, would be it for Anissa. Sadly, Anissa Jones was struggling with drug addiction, and at just 18 years of age she died from an accidental drug overdose. It was a combination of cocaine, PCP, Quaalude, and Seconal. The coroner for the case even described it as one of the most severe he'd ever seen. Just 6 days after Anissa's death, Dr. Don Carlos was arrested and charged with illegally prescribing Seconal to Jones in addition to other drugs for profit charges. In total, the doctor was charged with 11 offenses, but died while awaiting trial, just 4 months after Anissa. A terribly sad end to such a promising young star. Heather Angel as Miss Faversham. Born the 9th of February 1909. Angel played Giles French's good friend. Heather Angel stepped into the entertainment world in 1931. Her first co-starring role was in 1933's Berkeley Square, co-starring with Leslie Howard. Before stepping into her Family Affair role, she lent her voice to some very memorable film roles as the voice of Alice's sister in 1951's Alice in Wonderland and then as Wendy Darling's mother in 1953's animated retelling of Peter Pan. The last time we saw Heather was in 1979 in the miniseries Backstairs at the White House. Heather died in 1986 at age 77. Johnny Whitaker as Jody, born December 13, 1959. Jody is an adorable and recognizable character with his red hair and freckles and is one half of the twins. He was a responsible kid, so the opposite of Dennis the Menace. Jody was grounded and sincere. Johnny Whitaker began acting in commercials in the early 60s, and in 1966, he acted in a major feature, The Russians Are Coming, The Russians Are Coming, which also starred Brian Keith. Sadly though, Johnny wasn't in the clear in terms of troubles as he grew up. He struggled hard with addiction, especially after a failed marriage and giving up his Mormon beliefs. He was arrested twice and states in an interview that he lost everything. Thankfully, he was able to overcome his struggles and become sober. Since then, he has become a certified mental health professional as a drug and alcohol counselor. Today, at 66 years old, he couldn't pass up a returning role in the 2016 Amazon reboot of Sigmund and the Sea Monsters. We've also seen him recently in 2021 in an episode of the series TV Therapy. Kathy Garver as Sissy, born December 13, 1945. Sissy was a gregarious teenager and a great big sis, often taking responsibility for her challenging younger siblings, Buffy and Jody. Kathy Garver stepped onto the scene in 1953 and became noticed 3 years later as one of the young slaves in the Cecil B. DeMille film, The Ten Commandments. In the 70s and 80s, she transitioned to voice work, performing in 24 episodes of the animated Happy Days spin-off, The Fonz and the Happy Days Gang, and multiple Spider-Man cartoons. Today at 80 years old, we last saw her in the game show To Tell the Truth, where Kathy did her best Dolly Parton imitation. Mrs. Beasley. We could hardly leave off the doll. Anissa was basically required to carry that doll everywhere. Fun fact. The first episode when the kids arrived, Mrs. Beasley didn't have eyeglasses on. But by episode 2 and beyond she found her prescription apparently. This toy became so popular that producer Don Feddersen insisted that the character of Buffy remain perpetually 6 years old, even as Anissa grew into her teens. John Williams as Niles French, born the 15th of April 1903. John Williams, the British actor, played Nigel, Niles, French, the proper and witty English valet, on the TV sitcom Family Affair in 1966. He appeared in the show's pilot episode as the Davis family's butler. His character was a classic, gentleman's gentleman, refined, formal, and a bit dry, fitting the mold that Williams was known for in many of his roles. However, John Williams's role was short-lived. After the pilot, his character Niles French was written out, and Sebastian Kbad became the show's iconic butler. He died the 5th of May 1983 at age 80. Sherry Alberoni as Sharon James, born December 4, 1946. Sherry Alberoni portrayed Sharon James, a sophisticated and somewhat manipulative friend of Sissy Davis. Sharon describes herself as between mothers, suggesting a complex family background. Her character plays a pivotal role in the episode by convincing Sissy that her Uncle Bill might marry Louise Marshall, leading Sissy to fear that she and her siblings might be sent back to Terre Haute. Sherry Alberoni was a former Mouseketeer and had a diverse career in television and voice acting. Beyond her role in Family Affair, she voiced characters in animated series such as Josie and the Pussycats, Super Friends, and Mighty Orbits. She also provided the singing voice for Patty Duke's character in the 1967 film Valley of the Dolls. Now she is 79.